Okay, we're on page 679 of Sri Sarada Devi and her divine play, looking at God as Mother. And today we're looking at Sri Sarada Devi's, uh, I don't know what you'd call it, her vocation. Was she a nun? Was she a householder? Was she a wife? Was she a nun? And trying to figure all that out because they were really forging new territory. Because both their lives, Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother, are simultaneously great lives for a sannyasin and great lives for a householder, because they kept a foot in both camps. Now, they kept their marriage celibate, and so that's why they both qualified as sannyasins and living that life. And yet, they both lived a committed married life, looking after one another, serving one another. And so they really were showing how the ideals are not all of that different. And he was really, between the two of them, demonstrating that the value of the householder life. And you can see just how many people Mother, reached out to and nurtured and took care of, even though she was technically a householder. So we're starting on the section called A Nun in White Clothing. Ramakrishna took monastic vows from Totapuri, performing the Vajra Homa, and became a Paramahamsa sannyasin. But he used to wear a white cloth with a thin border all through his life. Only on a few occasions did he wear an ochre cloth at the request of the devotees. Holy Mother did not take monastic vows, but she led the life of an ideal nun. She was Kaushambi, or Durga, who was married yet had unbroken chastity. Holy Mother wore a red-bordered white cloth, just as her husband had. She gave initiation, brahmacharya vows, and informal sannyasa, giving the ochre cloth to some of her disciples as Ramakrishna had. However, after bestowing the ochre cloth, Holy Mother asked her disciples to take formal sannyasa and to receive their monastic names from the master's disciples. I imagine that was to kind of be in the official lineage of the teaching of the order of the guru. Because I know when I took my sannyas, I had to memorize that lineage of our order, where our order gets its authority to exist from. And I don't really understand how all of those things work, even though I'm living in the middle of them. Uh, but yeah, and so I imagine that's why Mother had them take formal vows through some of the other monastic disciples. But for their own devotion and for their own love of her, she was willing to give them informal vows from herself, even though she had never taken sannyas vows. So, hello, Anna. All right. Holy Mother wore red-bordered cloth as her husband had. She gave initiation, brahmacharya vows, and informal sannyasa, gave the ochre cloth to some of her disciples as Ramakrishna had. However, after bestowing the ochre cloth, Holy Mother asked her disciples to take formal sannyas and to receive their monastic names from the Master's disciples. Holy Mother's teachings are permeated with renunciation. Once, a woman devotee asked Holy Mother to order her daughter to marry. The mother replied, "Is it not misery to remain a lifelong slave to another and to always dance to his tune? Though there is some risk in being celibate, still, if one is not inclined to lead a married life, one should not be forced into it and subjected to lifelong worldliness. Those girls who are drawn to the ideal of complete renunciation should be encouraged to lead a celibate life." Apart from her life of renunciation, she performed the duties of a wife and mother. Swami Nikhilananda wrote, Holy Mother, in a very unique way, fulfilled the duties of wife, mother, and nun. There have been before in the world the ideal wife, the ideal mother, and the ideal nun, but a combination of the three in one person is rare indeed. Holy Mother was wedded to Sri Ramakrishna at the age of 5, lived with him as long as he lived, and ministered to his physical needs in the best tradition of a Hindu wife. She was a companion in spiritual life. She demonstrated that wifely devotion and love are possible without demanding physical satisfaction from one's mate. In spite of her marriage, she remained a nun, pure in body and mind, and in uninterrupted communion with God. Though she had no children of the flesh, she had many children of the Spirit. Like an earthly mother, she looked after her disciples' physical comfort, but unlike an earthly mother, she was totally unattached in her love and expected no return from it. Truly, Sister Nivedita declared that Holy Mother was Sri Ramakrishna's last word on the ideal of Indian womanhood. But why of Indian womanhood alone? She can very well represent the universal ideal of womanhood. Holy Mother seldom, Holy Mother's visit to a devotee's house, the next section here. Holy Mother seldom visited her devotees in Calcutta. Instead, they came to see her in Urbodhan House. Holy Mother was very fond of Sarda Jubala Sen and her sister Sumati. One day, Sarabula came to Holy Mother to visit their Baligunj residence in Calcutta. Oh no, one day Sarajubala invited the mother to visit their Baligunj residence in South Calcutta, and the mother accepted her invitation. Sarajubala's account reminds us of the story of Martha and Mary in the Bible. May of 1914. The mother will come to your Baligunj house today. We have been making preparations since yesterday. We brought a new carpet seat and a new set of white marble plates and bowls for her to use. I could not sleep all night for the joy, thinking that the mother will visit. It was arranged that she would come in the afternoon. In case she changes her mind, Shokaharan, Sumati's husband, has gone to the mother's house at Bagbazar in the morning and is waiting there with the carriage. We also have finished our household work and made ourselves ready to receive her. I arranged the mother's carpet, placed flowers all around, sprinkled Ganges water in all the rooms and doorways, strung garlands of flowers, and placed 2 large bouquets on either side of the mother's seat. That is just so much fun when you're getting ready for a big puja like that and you just get to decorate with all the flowers and making everything clean and pure and ready to go. It really is a wonderful work to do, to do a worship. If you're ever going to do it on your own, just find every possible effort to put into it. The room that you're going to celebrate in, clean every slat of every blind, wash all the curtains, clean all the curtain rods, pull up the corners of the carpet and vacuum the dirt out from under there. Just go to town because it really makes such a beautiful feeling on the morning of the puja when you walk in and you know that you made every effort to prepare this worship for the divine. It's really quite an experience. So I encourage you to do that. Put in that extra effort, that extra mile in all of your things, in all of your practice. I mentioned that I was trying to do that. Now I've changed my practice from a longer sitting in the morning to doing several shorter ones throughout the day because I'm focusing on quality now for that instead of quantity. Because I found after a while that it was just kind of getting quite mechanical going around my mala. So I thought I would do them in short spurts, and with each mentioning of the mantra, literally just throwing every bit of my attention onto that, and just really, really seeing and feeling and experiencing Mother's presence, and to open up for her to do all the work that needs to be done within me. And I find that has brought such a deeper satisfaction and this real awareness of Mother living my life. I'm really beginning to understand this nature of Mother as refuge. It started with that instruction that I got earlier on that whenever you're being sorely tempted by anything, that you turn to Mother and you tell her, Mother, I take refuge in you. Right? You do it very sincerely and very, very focused in a very present way. And then you begin chanting the name, right? In order to keep the mind guided on a good path. And that worked. That has worked wonderfully and is coming to some nice fruit for me. But then the added thing yesterday was just by doing this very sincere repetition of the name and really coming to a very clear sense of the presence of Mother, and the safety from my own self, if that makes any sense. Like for the first time ever, I felt like mother was dominant, a dominant presence in me, and that my presence in me was secondary. And I felt so safe, like I was riding in refuge, that I was existing in refuge. And it was a very new sensation, and I'm very happy to say repeatable. Like this morning, I after the end of the meditation came sooner than I had wanted it to, and so I did a few extra little jupums there with that idea of just establishing mother as the primary. I kept remembering what St. Paul said. It's no longer I who live, but it's Christ who lives in me. And so I was really trying to understand that. I was like, can I say that it is mother that lives in me instead of myself? You know, and just through really focusing on that effort and focusing on that awareness, I feel for the first time I had a moment's awareness of that mother as the dominant presence in me, and I was secondary. Not so much concerned about what I wanted and what my mood was and how the day was going to go. And so, and all that comes with is just by speaking the name, just by singing the name in a sincere way in your practice. Let's see, where is it?
Oh, the mother's visit to a
There it is.
deity's house.
Yes. As the mother advanced, we were waiting eagerly for the mother's arrival. Finally, the blessed moment arrived. Hearing the sound of the carriage, we all went downstairs. When the carriage stopped, I noticed the mother affectionately looking at us with a smiling face. As soon as she got down from the carriage, we rushed to take the dust of her feet. Golap Ma and Shurabala, Nalini, Ratu, and 4 or 5 monks and brahmacharis came with the mother. We took the mother upstairs and bowed down to her. She inquired, "How have you all finished your meal? Have you all finished your meal?" I tried to be as quick as possible, but somehow could not manage to get here earlier than this. Saying so, she touched my chin and kissed her fingers. I still could not sit near her. I rushed to the kitchen to make the food ready. Most of the dishes were already prepared. They were playing the gramophone upstairs. In between my various tasks, I went upstairs and found the mother extremely delighted to be listening to the songs on the gramophone. She exclaimed like a happy girl, "What a wonderful machine has been invented!" It was a hot summer day, and the mother lay down on a fine mat on the veranda, and others were seated around her. We served her ice water in a stone bowl, and mother sipped that cold water from time to time. Seeing me, she called, "My child, you have a little ice water." I took some as her prasad and then ran back to the kitchen. Today I was trying to finish quickly, yet still could not get everything done. In the evening, all items of food were arranged in the adjacent room. The mother had asked Golap Ma to offer the food to the master, but she replied, "Mother, you offer it. Why should I when you are present?" Then the mother sat on the asana to offer the food and commented, "Ah, how beautifully all these dishes have been arranged." Thus she expressed her joy like a girl and filled our hearts with delight. After the food offering, the mother and others sat to have the prasad. The mother finished her supper first and then went on a cane chair on the veranda. She called to me, "My child, give me a betel roll." I was then serving food to Golap Ma and others. I hurriedly carried a betel roll to her. I felt ashamed that she had to ask for it. I told Sumati, "Could you not wait with a betel roll near the door? You see how busy I am." After a while, the mother went to the washroom downstairs, and I accompanied her with a lamp. The garden in this part of the house is somewhat desolate. There were rows of crotons on either side of the pathway. The mother affectionately told me, "Ah, you could not find time to sit near me. Come to Ubodan House soon and bring your mother as well." My mother came to visit me, and she was fortunate that she saw the Holy Mother at our home. It was time for the mother to depart. She was reluctant to ride in the motor car because once when she went to attend the chariot festival at Mahesh, a dog was run over by the car. But Bog Bazaar was a long way off, and it could be very late and uncomfortable unless they went by car. Finally, the mother agreed to the devotee's request to use the car. She bowed down to the master several times, blessed us, and got into the car. We just love that attention. There's that devotee heart looking, trying to serve the mother in every way there, and being disappointed and not being able to do the smallest thing, that she had to ask for a beetle roll like that. But just that diligence, that's what makes spiritual life beautiful. If you don't have that kind of commitment to your spiritual life, if you're trying to get things done and kind of just rotely doing things, spiritual life becomes very routine and then quite dry in time if it goes that route too long. It's always good if you find yourself getting bored or find yourself getting lackluster in your efforts, change it up a little bit. Try and move things around a little bit in your practice and maybe switch something out, like change a little bit of worship, sing a different song, or draw up a different offering, or make something special for the mother, like that. Just something to renew that energy, because it makes such a difference. I learned that in the shrine with that day I always mention when I just got sick of the cleaning, because I had to clean that shrine every day. And that shrine didn't need to be cleaned every day. There's just not that much dust in there. And so I was doing it, and there were all these little tiny little embellishments all over that shrine, little lotuses and layers of carvings and just all kinds of things. And so I would have to get there in there with all that little napkin, fold the napkin so I could get that corner in there and just every single little crevice all the way around that whole shrine. I was like, I hated it. And I just sat on that shrine. I just told Mother, I've had it. I don't want to do this anymore. I said, this is the cleanest room in the house, and yet I still have to clean it every single day like this. It's driving me nuts. It was one of those moments where she gave me an understanding, though. She again kind of poked at me like she does when she's making a point. She poked at me and said, you're only miserable because you only do this work to get it done. If you did it to spend some time with me, you might enjoy it. And I really heard that. I was like, whoa, that's true. I always have it in mind to get it finished when I'm working in here. And so when I thought about that, I thought that's the right way. That's real karma yoga. So it seems obvious, but nothing's obvious to this cow, I have to tell you. Anyway, so to throw your heart into it, put your whole heart into it. Don't worry about gaining or getting or arriving or achieving. All that will come in its time. Just enjoy the process and enjoy it by being sincere and being earnest. That will help you to give yourself permission to let go of your karma, to let go of your inner accusations, the things that get in the way of your practice. Holy Mother, from different points of view. If a man loses a hand or a foot or an eye or an ear, he can function without too much difficulty. But his life stops if he loses his memory. Human beings live in this world, and with their memories of happiness and misery. The Mother's disciples and devotees left us their memoirs so we could visualize her life from different angles. Although these stories and episodes may seem small and insignificant to the general reader, they are extremely important and inspiring to her devoted children. We were not fortunate enough to live with her, but we can feel her presence by meditating on these incidents in her divine drama. Sara Jubala recalled, I was not able to visit Holy Mother for some days on account of the pressure of my school duties. No sooner had I saluted her today than she began to show her love for me in countless ways. Budeb, Mother's nephew, was reading the Mahabharata. He was a mere boy and therefore could not read fluently. The mother also had her other duties to attend to. It was almost evening. She said to Budeb, pointing to me, give her the book. She will read it quite easily. The reading cannot be stopped without finishing this chapter. It was her order, so I began to read the Mahabharata. Never before had I read a book in her presence. At first, I felt a sort of shyness, but somehow I finished the chapter. The mother saluted the book with folded hands. When we went to the shrine to witness the evening worship, the mother took her seat and soon became absorbed in meditation. A devotee of the master, Tej Chandra, and his wife, they often visited the Holy Mother at Udbodhan House, and she was very fond of them. Tej Chandra died on the 16th of September 1912. Holy Mother told the following story about him. He who eagerly prays to God will see him. Boy, that's a wonderful practice, wonderful promise, just to sit with that for a moment. That's very, very sweet. It's putting Ritu into samadhi. He who eagerly prays to God will see him. The other day, Tej Chandra passed away. What a sincere soul he was. The master used to frequent his house. Someone had deposited 200 rupees with Tej Chandra. One day he was robbed of that amount by a pickpocket in the tram car. He discovered the loss after some time and suffered terrible mental agony. He came to the bank of the Ganges and prayed to the master with tears in his eyes. "O Lord, what have you done to me?" He was not rich enough to make up that amount from his own pocket. As he was thus weeping, he saw the master appear before him and say, "Why do you weep so bitterly? The money is there under a brick on the bank of the Ganges." Tej Chandra quickly removed the brick and really found there was a bundle of banknotes. He narrated this incident to Sharat, Swami Sharadananda. Sharat said, "You are fortunate to get the vision of the master even now." I love that. No mention of the money at all. You're fortunate to get the vision of the master. You see where their minds were at. It was wonderful. Swami Arupananda recalled how the mother served her disciples. "I had a severe headache. I went to the mother's room in the afternoon and told her about it. She said it's probably due to the heat. She then mixed up some ghee with camphor and, making a paste of it, applied it to my forehead with a gentle massage. Whenever the master had a headache, he applied this medicine," she said. "I started feeling a little better after a few minutes of massage and came downstairs. After some time, the headache really disappeared. I went and told the mother. The headache is hardly there, mother." In November of 1908, a devotee went to Jairambati for initiation. Afterward, he and some other devotees went to visit Kamarpakur. Unfortunately, this devotee had a heated exchange with a Swami there. On his return to Jairambati, Holy Mother's brother Bharata reported this to her. She cautioned the devotee, "Know that one has to be careful about these three things. First, a house situated on the bank of a river. At any time, the river may destroy the house and sweep it away. Second, a snake. You must be very careful when you see one, for there is no knowing when it will bite you. Third, a monk. One word or thought from a monk may do harm to a householder. When you see a monk, you should show him respect. You should not slight him with disrespectful words." These valuable words of the mother guided the devotee all through his life. It is said that only a good student can be a good teacher, and a good teacher learns continuously, so his or her teaching remains always fresh. Ramakrishna said, "As long as I live, so long do I learn." Sadar Jubala recorded how Holy Mother learned various things in her village. Regarding creation, one night the mother said, "In the beginning of creation, the Creator made human beings with the quality of sattva. As a result, they were born with divine knowledge. In no time, they understood that the world was not real, so they immediately renounced the world and followed the path of God realization. They practiced severe austerities and attained liberation and merged into the divine. The Creator then found that the purpose of his creation had not been realized. Those wise ones were unfit to continue the play in the world. So the Creator added rajas and tamas to sattva and created human beings with those three qualities. Thus his play in the world continued nicely. Then she cited a beautiful rhyme regarding creation. She continued, "My daughter, in our youth we learned so many wonderful things from seeing the yatras, the dramas, and listening to the narrators of mythological stories. Nowadays we seldom hear those things. Sometimes Holy Mother tested the faith of her disciples." Shara Jubila recorded, "One day I went to Bagbazar and found Holy Mother resting after her lunch. She was gracious enough to ask me to fan her. Suddenly I heard her speaking to herself. 'Well, you all have come here, but where is the Master?' I said in reply, 'We could not meet him in this life. Who knows in which future birth we shall be able to see him? But this is our greatest good fortune, that we've been able to touch your feet.'" "That is indeed true," was the remark of the mother. I was rather amazed by this avowal. Very seldom did she speak of herself in such a way. In Jairambati, Holy Mother had a hard time finding flowers for worship. The villagers grew vegetables around their houses rather than flowering plants. Swami Gaurishwarananda wrote in his reminiscences, "I had a passion for gardening right from my childhood. In Jairambati, sometimes the mother did not have any flowers to worship with. She would offer only tulsi leaves, durva grass, bell leaves, and sandalwood paste to the master, addressing him, 'Master, not a single flower could be procured today. Please be pleased to accept these.' I had planted some flowering trees, jasmine and red oleander, some marigold, hibiscus, dupati, tagar, and several others. How delighted the mother was with those flowers. One day I discovered the mother digging at the roots of the jasmine plant after her noon rest. I snatched the spade from her hand, saying, 'I shall attend to this. You don't have to do it.' She said, 'You do everything for the plant because I'm very fond of jasmine. And now that it is the season for these flowers to bloom, I was digging the soil so that it can be watered well.' When the first oleanders blossomed, she did not let anyone pick the flowers, even for worship. She would say, 'Let Rame come and see how beautifully his shrub has blossomed. He himself will pluck the flowers. Only then shall I offer them to the Master.' Such a boundless love, right? Isn't that a wonderful thing? Somebody brings that flowering bush there, and until he gets to see all the flowers on it for the first time and then to pick them himself to offer them. See how respectful that is? How full of love and concern that is? Just having that aware of a heart that you would think at that minutely of a detail, that would be so meaningful to somebody. Just lovely. Just lovely. One day I took her to a lime plant that I had grown by grafting. There were 7 or 8 limes on it. The mother was delighted and kept saying to everyone, 'Just see how clever this boy is. He is growing the graft so well that it's already bearing fruit.' Another day I had broken off a large branch of an amalki tree with fruit on it and given it to the mother. She was displeased and forbade me to break off branches of fruit-bearing trees with fruit on them, in particular amalaki trees. The amalaki tree stood on the bank of the Amadar River. Revered Sharad Maharaj, Yogin Ma, and Golap Ma used to meditate under it. Sharad Maharaj used to chant the Gita too. 33 crores of gods and goddesses dwell under an amalaki tree, the mother said. She added, japa and meditation practiced under the amalaki tree yield great results. Later, she directed me to save the leaves on that branch for the purpose of worship, remarking, 'These leaves are also used for the worship, like bell leaves.' So even her compassion for the plant, that he had ripped off a whole branch with the fruit on it rather than just picking the fruit, and she scolds him. And you remember she was that way about the broom in the house. Remember, the brahmachari swept the floor and then threw the broom in the closet. And she said, 'Why are you treating the broom with disrespect? Is it not also a member of our family? Does it not also have an important contribution to make? Everything should be taught with respect, should be handled with respect.' Just, just, I mean, it's absurd to even say it, But just what a wonderful, 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 wonderful person. A God person, no doubt. The last story of a Nepali nun. Ashu Mitra wrote a fascinating story concerning the Nepali nun who had met the mother in Varanasi and who suggested that the Holy Mother practiced the Panchatapa to assuage her grief that she felt after Ramakrishna's passing. That's that practice that she did at Dakshineshwar on the roof of the house, where you have four large fires going at each four corners around you, and then you sit with the fifth fire being the sun, and you sit there all day with no food or water in meditation in that heat. Called the Panchatapas. All right. A really powerful practice. With permission from Holy Mother, one of her attendants, whom we can assume was Ashu himself, went on pilgrimage to Bhadrika Ashrama in the Himalayas. Ashu went with another monk who was the mother's disciple, but not a member of the Ramakrishna order. They first went to Rishikesh and stayed at Kailash Mat. One early morning, he heard a woman crying pitifully from a nearby cottage. Out of curiosity, he entered the cottage and found a dying woman there. She kept calling out, "Mother, have you not sent your disciple?" As soon as she saw Ashu standing at the door, she said, "Finally you have come. Please come close and sit down. Do what I say, there is not much time left." Ashu was dumbfounded. She said, "Don't doubt me. You can verify this with Holy Mother. She promised that she would send one of her disciples to me during my last moments. Now do what I say. Under my pillow are 40 rupees and a notebook. When I die, immerse my body in the Ganges with the help of other monks. On the fourth day, use that money to arrange for a feast for the monks. Memorize the contents of the notebook within 3 days and then immerse it in the Ganges. Use the mantras in that notebook for the good of others and never for your own benefit." Ashu ran back to Kailash Mat to find his companion. He left a message for him saying that he would not be able to go to Bhadrika Ashrama and that he should go on by himself. When he returned to the cottage a few minutes later, Ashu saw the woman's last moment had arrived. She passed away saying, "O mother, O mother." He immersed her body in the Ganges with the help of some monks from the Kailash Mat. He then went to Kali Kalmi Baba's ashrama and gave the 40 rupees to the abbot there to arrange a feast. He stayed at the ashrama, memorized the mantras in that notebook, and then dropped it in the Ganges after 3 days. He then wrote a letter to the Holy Mother asking her permission to visit Jairambati, but did not get a reply. Uh, within 6 days. So he went to Jairambati and reported the whole story to her. After hearing the tale, the mother said, "Yes, she made me promise that I would send one of my disciples to her at her last moment. This girl was very good. She knew various kinds of rituals. While I was in Varanasi, she used to visit me, and she suggested that I perform the Panchatapa." Well, that's incredible. I don't remember ever hearing that story. That was beautiful. First, to be so aware at death like that, and to be able just to repeat Mother's name, and to recognize the person at your door immediately as the one that she sent, that you asked for. What a world of faith these people live in. What a beautiful world it looks like. Holy Mother's teachings. In Shankara's introduction to his commentary on the Gita, he describes how a divine incarnation works in this world. The Lord, the eternal possessor of knowledge, of sovereignty, power, strength, energy, and vigor, brings under his control his own Maya, which consists of the three gunas. And then through that Maya, he serves human beings out of compassion without any purpose of his own. The unmotivated action of an illuminated soul, according to the Vedanta, is called abhasa, a show. An illumined soul knows that he or she is not the doer or the enjoyer of that action. The illumined soul is free from ego, devoid of desire, and does not covet the results of his actions. As an instrument of God, that person serves others unselfishly. Holy Mother's life was her message. She was born to be a teacher. So all her actions and all her words were meant for the good of humanity. Holy Mother taught the ancient teachings of practical Vedanta, renunciation, discernment, purity, faith, devotion, meditation, control of the mind, austerity, skill in action, self-effort, and so on. All these teachings are scattered throughout this book, but in chapter 26 we cited many of her teachings in question and answer form. In chapter 32 we mentioned some of her teachings that echoed the Masters. Now we shall see at present some of her teachings as recorded by the few of her close monastic disciples. Swami Parameshwarananda recorded this one. Once, the mother was seated around, surrounded by several women devotees. Suddenly she said, "Well, I've seen so many sadhus, but there was none who could compare with the master." A devotee replied, "Mother, how can there be any comparison with the master? He came to deliver people, and those sadhus came to be delivered." So the mother was unique. So the master was unique. Silently supporting her statement, the mother's face glowed with a smile. One night at Jairabati, I was massaging the mother's feet. Referring to the bickering and the disorderliness of Kolpara Ashrama, I asked her, "Mother, we have renounced hearth and home and everything in the name of Sri Ramakrishna. We have come to work for him. Then why is there so much quarreling and friction among ourselves?" The mother replied, "Look, my son, the source of trouble is seeing faults in others. Once this happened to me, and I saw faults in others, and I could not get rid of it. Finally, I prayed to the Master earnestly, 'Master, may I not see the faults in others. May I see only their good qualities.' From then on, that attitude completely disappeared from my mind. If I would see a little good quality in anybody, I saw it magnified. If you want peace, do not see the faults of others." Just before her final departure from Jairabati, the mother instructed me about the annual Jagadatri Puja and the future of her new house. The mother said, "Procure the annual consumption of rice, firewood, and other basics. Then there will be no problem for these things. We used to live in Jairabati as members of the mother's family." At the request of her disciples, the mother came to Kolpara Ashrama for a few days' rest. The mother asked me to take responsibility for cooking, though I had no knowledge of it. One day I was cutting vegetables sitting near the mother. Finding her alone, I asked, "Mother, how can one attain the knowledge of Brahman? I see various things with my physical eyes. How can I understand through discrimination that everything is Brahman? How can one have this experience of oneness? In the beginning, should one practice focusing on each object in one's meditation? Or does it, meaning the experience of oneness, does it come spontaneously? I am confused. Again, after studying Swamiji's books, it seems like there cannot be any liberation without the knowledge of Brahman." The mother answered gravely, "It is a difficult path. It takes a long time to reach the goal when practicing that path of sadhana. Call on the Master. Depend on him, and he will make you know everything. What will you gain by worrying about all those things? You will achieve everything by the Master's grace." Another day I privately asked the mother, "Mother, my mind is very restless. I can't calm it. How can I control the mind?" She replied, "My son, Sharat and Rakal also say that it is so difficult to control the mind." After a brief pause, she said, "Call on the master. He will make things favorable." Once, in the course of conversation, I said to the mother, "Mother, the condition of my mind is sometimes so restless that I get scared I might be drowned in Maya." The mother emphatically said, "What do you say, my son? Why will you drown? You are the master's child, and my child also. You will never be drowned. The master will always protect you. You have read in the master's book that a frog cannot escape if it has been caught by a cobra. The master is holding you." This is an important paragraph here. Mark this page, circle this paragraph. And the next time you feel like telling someone how noisy your mind is, sit down and read this. The next time you're having a difficult meditation, pick this paragraph up and read it, and then just enjoy that promise all the way through your practice. You know, just know it will go well with you. It's mother's responsibility to calm your mind. You just sit in her presence. On another occasion, the mother assured a disciple, "Even providence does not have the power to destroy my children." And again, those who come here, meaning those who take refuge in Holy Mother, those who come here, this will be their last birth. There you go. Now you got it once from the master, and you now got it once from the mother. The exact same statement. If you come here for refuge, it's it. No more for you. So we've got 12, we've got 13 people here. From this 13 people, there will be no talk about your next life because there is not one. We've got the best promises we can get here. One night, the mother was resting on the veranda of her. Sorry. All right. I'll get myself together here in a second. I'll read that paragraph again. That was amazing. On another occasion, the mother assured a disciple, "Even providence does not have the power to destroy my children. Those who come here, this will be their last birth." One night, the mother was resting on the veranda of her new house, and we went to bow down to her. She began talking to us. "Look, X made such a remark. He says that these boys are moving from one ashrama to another ashrama out of greed for good food. Why would my children and the master's children suffer from a lack of food? They will never suffer from want of food. I prayed to the master, 'Master, may my children never suffer from lack of food.'" She briefly paused and then said agitatedly, "He says that my children move from ashram to ashrama because they're gluttons. What will they, why will they not eat well? Those who have attachments will suffer." All right, we joke about that a lot. I know the monks and the nuns do, because boy, did Mother keep this promise. There is never as much food around as that there is at a function at the Vedanta Center. There's so much food. When Mother initiated a young man into sannyasa, he said to her, "Mother, please instruct me on how I should lead my life." The mother replied, "May the master protect you. He will protect you. Call on him. He does everything. You all work for him. Never look at a woman, even if she is made out of clay." So there it is. Look at that. That's her instructions to this new disciple, right? The first thing, may the master protect you, right? We take this path, we take this spiritual path in the refuge of our chosen ideal. So she says the first, she gives him a blessing, may the master protect you. And then she gives him the promise, he will protect you. right? So she backs that up with a promise. Then she says, call on him, depend on that protection, know that it's real. He does everything. Okay. So we lectured about that on Sunday, that it is the beloved's job to do all of it, to purify your heart, to purify your mind, to give you strength, to give you the vision, to bring you to your realization. That's Thakur's and Ma's job. Mother says it's the job of the mother to clean up the child's mess, right? And so we make ourselves available to the mother in faith, knowing that we've taken refuge, that she will take care of us, and that God is everything. God does everything. And so in that faith, we sit silently in our prayer, in bliss, enjoying the quiet solitude of being, as our faith knows that Mother is working deep within us, right? You can feel that little tickle of activity going on in your heart. You're like, what are you doing in there? So he does everything, and then she reminds him, you work for him, right? You don't work for yourself anymore. You work for him. You serve the world through him. Never look at a woman, even if she is made out of clay, right? Be absolutely careful about lust and greed in this world. The mother handed over an ochre cloth to a brahmachari and then said with a smile, now you'll be able to sleep happily. Whether you achieve anything or not, from now on you will be able to sleep without disturbance. What a beautiful way of looking at it. Do not look at this as success or failure, whether you're going to achieve something or not. She says that's not the point. The point is now, in this moment, always in this moment, you can rest in peace. You don't have to worry. That's your focus, not how well you're doing, not how fast you're growing, not how much is changing, but that it's all taken care of. You will be fine. Be at peace. Another day, in the course of conversation, Mother said, look, you follow this instruction from the Master. Adjust according to time, to person, and according to place and circumstance. Then you will never be cheated or confused, and always give honor to respected people. Another time, a couple who were devoted to the Master came to the Mother and prayed, Mother, please bless us so that we might not get entangled in worldly Maya. May we practice celibacy and lead a pure life. The mother replied with a smile, what do you say, my children? If you do not have children, how will the number of my devotees increase? One day after finishing the daily worship, the mother was seated on her asana. Her mind still had not returned to the earthly plane. Suddenly, one of my brother disciples asked, Mother, how do you look on the Master? She remained silent for a while, and then gravely answered, I look on him as my child. The questioner was astounded. The mother merged into deep silence, and I became speechless, right? Because it was her husband, and she saw her husband as his child. I know a lot of women who don't think that that would be difficult to do. Yes. Well, what beautiful things we got to read today. What time is it? Yeah, we'll end there.